It's going live. It'll take a second.
Mm.
Cool. We're up.
Mm.
Fun.
Mm-hmm. Good morning.
Good morning. So, it's been a second since I've done the live streaming stuff. Uh, the setup is a lot more elaborate with two people. And I decided to wear
We're
headphones.
gonna nail it. We're gonna nail it really soon, I
I
think,
think we.
because ideally, I would want to be able to see comments too, right?
You can. I think if you just
I have to
pull.
go to YouTube, right?
Correct. I'm sure there's got to be a fancier way to do all of this stuff.
We're
But I
gonna
think
figure it out.
this. But I think that's part of the
This is good
fun.
enough.
I think what
Yeah.
I should do is I think I should probably jump on stream like as soon as possible and literally just share how ridiculous, like how batshit insane this system is put together, and then somebody's gonna be smarter than us and be like, hey, you just need to like buy this
Can we
one
just
thing.
keep messing up until it's so bad somebody helps us?
Someone at YouTube is just like, hey guys, we really can't have somebody showing off our product like this. The keyboard fell down.
This is not the way.
This is not the way we envisioned the internet working.
Mm-mm.
All right, so what are we doing today, Twyla? We're just working, yeah. Just working on
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. And I actually have some stuff I want to practice on you. So
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you checked our agenda, but I added a few things.
You know, I should be a professional and say that I did, but I will lie and say that. Well, I won't lie and say that I did. Cool. Okay, so I'll fill in people just a little bit with what our plans are. So, y'all, this is just an excuse to hang out and edit some photos together, right? Um, Not really like a set plan yet. We're not doing this like super formalized. We're just gonna like hang out here, chat, put a kind of a thought together on what we're doing for the day or what we're talking about, and then roll through it. So if you're interested, grab a computer and edit, or I don't know, answer emails. I don't care what you do. Just get something done. That sound right?
So for a while I was hosting co-working sessions where we would call and edit together.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is like the one thing that I maybe like the one element I was missing, like just getting, because it feels more like you could come and just edit at the same time. But if you wanted like a podcast, like photographer conversation or something about relevant topics or whatever, then that's what the audio is for. Or you can mute us if you just need body doubling
100%.
buddies, right?
Body doubling buddies. That sounds. I like that phrase. Wait.
Me
I
too.
have to write
We're
that
your
down.
body doubling buddies.
I've got a new note. I'll share this with you. A new chat for because I'm now a paid member of Notion. Thank you very much.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm an adult who can
Mhm.
buy things. So started at 7:05. Body doubling buddies.
Body doubling buddies. My computer is kind of mad because there are, I mean, I think I only have two different Chrome windows to open,
Okay.
but probably each, no, I've got six open. Fine.
That
It was
sounds like
pretty
that
mad. I'm
probably
going to
sounds.
try to run my room.
I have a feeling that sounds like a lot for you. I have.
I try to keep it tidy, but
Really?
not, I moving the office home.
Oh, yeah.
I've been a little bit more comfortable. Like working at the office downtown, it seems more like in the day, close all the windows on your computer, clean it up. But this just seems like a never ending day. So I can pop in and out. So I never close them.
I feel like
I don't like that.
when I was working at the office more, um, I found myself like I would wrap up for the day, and instead of actually like going to leave, I got myself into some like really bad habits of like, oh, I'm just gonna like screw around for like 20 minutes as like a reward for getting my work done, and then I just like
Yes.
the place was always a mess. I still have the place. I literally have not been to our studio in 2 years because of COVID. Um, which I find to be like a little bit ridiculous that we're still paying for it, but we found a wonderful friend to split it with us, and so I'm paying like, next to nothing for it, so it really feels silly to get rid of it. But I'm still really tempted to like work on some sort of building some sort of like co-working space up here, have some sort of community center that we could have classes out of and meetings and hangouts and whatever out of.
I love how it's always like the biggest idea it could be, instead of like, I mean, we do it every time we try to make a plan for anything. Like, yes. trademark the very best name we could have come up with before we even know that we like to do the thing.
To put a positive spin on that, like I'm a big believer in like thinking 10 years down the road, so that if I'm thinking about the like the biggest best version of something, that means that I am I don't get disappointed if things don't work out, but I'd be very disappointed if I like strived not enough. Like if I'm building for like here and I make it here, that's great. But if I'm building for here and make it for here, I'm so much more than if I like aimed lower.
I think we're both future thinkers, so we're both that way. So, and I just feel like I'm kind of never disappointed because I'm always kind of recalculating for those future steps, always making the most informed decision. So even when it's not working out, it's still working out because I'm taking that information in to make it work out, right?
You might say that.
And I think, it feels like that is where maybe optimism comes from. Like I just always have a plan for it to work out.
Interesting.
And I like thinking that way.
But what makes you think that will always work out? Because I agree. It's always going to work out.
I can't help it. That is like what goes on up here. It's just, recalculating. I'm like one of those maps. Right?
Yeah, totally.
If you take a wrong turn, it just starts recalculating. It can't help it.
Is Google Maps the ultimate optimist?
Maybe.
But don't worry, guys. Maybe. You're gonna get there. We're really aware that you will get there.
Promise. There might be a lot of road construction, but it's like the earlier you can know it's actually going to take you 5 hours instead of 30 minutes, the better you can like prepare yourself for that journey. Like if you knew before you left the house, you would like load up a bunch of podcasts, like grab the best snacks, all of that stuff, right? But if you only thought it was going to take 30 minutes, like maybe you didn't even grab yourself a water and now you're going to be like really thirsty and like you didn't pee before you left and now you're going to be in a bad mood.
Yeah. And so we're just planning to have to pee, right? That's the always looking way towards.
Oh, and get a flat tire.
Man, I don't like this metaphor. I blew a tire like 2 years ago during a photo shoot and it was not a fun experience. I've had the photos the photos that I'm editing right now, they are like the sweetest people, and they were very cool with the fact that I showed up and did not have any cameras on me. That was a new one. I showed up once and like had all my gear except for any batteries. That was a fun thing. But this time Brooke was able to like drive like 10 minutes and bring me my entire camera bag that was just sitting on the porch.
I mean, I think it's pretty common probably to have that fear of not having an SD card in your camera,
So I have that.
I do that a lot.
I have my camera set up where like it won't warn me if I don't have a card in there. Like I can still like push the button and it goes.
Oh, I do have that set up.
So I don't. I could easily change that right now, and I don't. But I also I've got like I have an Altoids addiction, so I have like tons of empty Altoids tins. And I have a bunch of like really slow old SD cards that I've got wrapped up in like foam and plastic wrap in an Altoids tin in each of the cars and then like taped shut. So it's not for like, oh, this card's almost full, I should grab one. It's literally like pull cord in case of emergency. Like if everything else is broken, I know I've got like 2 64 gig cards like sitting in the bottom of my car. So that I literally can't run out no matter where I am.
All right, here's my plan.
Yeah.
I think I talked to you about wanting to kind of like recycle leather. I found some old baseball gloves in the shed. So I'm gonna like take them up. Oh yeah. So I mean, I like working with leather and stuff and recycling like clothes and stuff that I have.
Cool.
So anyway, I want to turn these baseball mitts into cool leather pouches and things because I really like pouches. Custom pouches, perfect for very tiny things. Like
Like
this
SD cards.
is this is to wrap my headphones around. It's like a little leather
Oh, cool.
thingy with a snap, and I freaking love it.
Did
Anyway,
you make that?
I was thinking, no, but I mean, all you would have to do is cut a circle out of literally
That's true.
anything.
That's quite
And I feel
literal.
like it's useful for lots of different stuff, actually. But
Mhm.
I was thinking, I found an old guitar pick holder I have that's leather, that's
Mhm.
just a snap and it's the size of it. But I want to make one of those maybe just for an SD card. And then I could, you can put that thingy on on a thingy on a ring, right?
Yeah.
And then
Like
just put it
grommet.
on the camera. So it's just kind of there always, just in case. Or it's
What
like
if you like sew it into like the seam of your coat?
I
Oh, but then
will
when you wash the coat,
never remember it's there. I would
And then you
never
wash
know
it.
it was there because I can't see it.
yeah, you know.
So I
That's
would
another
have to be
function
able
of
to see
ADHD,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Object permanence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's me.
that's a fun one.
It's helped though, because I am also, have you ever done the Clifton Strengths Finder test?
No.
My friend Terry really, really likes it. And
What is
the Clifton Strengths Finder test. So she had me do it a few years back. They say over time it doesn't change very much, but I can see how mine has changed a little bit. I'm also just I don't know, I feel like I'm always working on changing my perspective. So it would make sense if mine shifted a little bit.
Totally.
Anyway, I am an arranger, like the very definition of a person that you would call an arranger. I am always shuffling things around. And I was reading a lot about it last night. And it's just kind of why I could be good at the things I want to be good at, why I love Notion and collecting knowledge so much, because what I love is thinking about the very best way you could organize some information or organize like a workflow or the things that you're doing to just make it, I don't know, the very best. And I think of that in terms of like enjoyment on top of productivity and all of that. And I think it's the way that I can enjoy doing work I've already done. So like with the editing course, it could be really painful to go back and look at all of that information again, or thinking about it more strategically, better ways to organize it so that it is easier to learn,
When
right?
you say you're going back through going back through work, what does that mean for the editing course? Are you just re-editing old
Updating
sets?
modules, yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Because not only do I have to keep up with Lightroom updates, but I have to keep up with like Mind updates, because those systems too, I feel like I'm always optimizing as I'm culling. I am thinking of like 20 different use cases that could make it like optimized, not even for me, not even a circumstance that will ever happen to me, but somebody else. Does that make sense?
100%. And that, I feel like in a lot of ways that's the hardest part of creating education content, because
well, I'm trying to embrace that though. If I know that about myself, I want to structure it so that it's kind of like the topic of choline, and I decided I needed to separate the technical, like these are the buttons available to you, exactly what they do, in theory, which is different approaches to systems thinking up here, because that's different for everybody. Even if I think of the best system ever for like me, that's not going to work for you because we have such different needs and everything, how often we're shooting.
Which is why not every course is going to work for every person, but it is a massive challenge to try to create content that is going to function for a wide range of people, to be able to say like,
I think it's kind of like I want to be able to meet all the needs because I enjoy thinking up all of the different ideas and approaches so much. And I realized there's a big emphasis for me on teaching like strategic thinking. Like I don't want to teach you this is how you edit for a look. I want to teach you the way to think about your approach to changing all of those things to get what you want out of it.
Oh no, I definitely, it's like what's the expression? There's the like teach a man to fish versus giving a man a fish.
Yes, that's exactly it. And it's always, I always feel like I have to give what they think they want. I think that's kind of like the battle for me. Like, I know you're gonna want like this for me, or to see exactly this so you can start. And I also, that's the best way to learn, because it's the constraints, right? Like
Oh yeah.
setting these parameters. Like, I fucking love this picture. Casey, sorry, I love this picture so much. I want to try to,
I don't think we're not swearing, right? I don't think it's like going to be gratuitous.
I think it would be appropriate, inappropriate to not swear.
Right. I don't think we should be like, let's put it this way: no racial slurs, nothing that's going to get anyone deplatformed. Don't be. Let's put it this way: don't be an asshole. That's step one. But I don't think it. It would be weird if this was like, the children's editing hour.
I don't need a space like that. Yeah, like it'd be nice to just. I don't think well, whatever. I don't care, but I don't use words like that in a mean way. I think I use them in an excited way, right?
I don't know if you've had this discussion. Somebody, and it may have been in this community, mentioned talking about like child rearing and like talking about their kids. It's like, what do they say? In our family, I don't care if you swear, but we don't curse. And so we're our family
yeah, that makes sense.
It's a fuck yeah family, not a fuck you family.
Oh, I like that.
Isn't that great?
Ari was asking me if he could, if damn was a bad word the other day, and if he could say it. And he definitely has, like, if he gets angry, he would get really, really angry, right?
Gotcha.
And so, or like literally throw a toy across the room or something. So, we just kind of talked about, like, I would rather you say damn if that feels like a release of that tension you're feeling when you feel the need to, throw something, or just, throw a really big tantrum. If you could say damn instead of like that, I would love that. I have no problem
but
with that.
Like the strict definition of damn is like, to curse someone into like damnation. And so that word is a good example of something that could be used as like a release valve for emotion. It could also be used for like, damn you, get out of here. That's not as much of a common usage of that word anymore, but I think it's a good example of like, maybe we don't use one instead of the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that.
Words are complicated.
Okay, well, I do want to try something with you.
For sure.
So I am working on, what am I working on? So sometimes there's so many projects. I know the thing I need to do, and I forget what it's attached
there are so
to.
Many projects, Twyla. There are only so many projects.
There's never been, yeah. I used to think my mom should just like get rid of some of these animals, or like not like sew our Halloween costumes or whatever, because she always just seems so busy, right?
Yeah.
Or she still is, like, all the time. And it's funny when you like think you're not your parents, and then you realize you are like every single bit of your parents. Yeah. 100%. Always so busy. Or I just always have something to look forward to? That's what I think.
Researching all this ADHD stuff, I'm seeing a lot of my mother in me. I'm seeing a lot of like, oh, this is the reason that I am the way that I am. Oh, that's the reason the way that.
Oh my God. And it's so great. Like the more you learn about it, just the better you can embrace it and work less miserably.
Yes.
I mean, I just think over the past few weeks, especially, it's just been and I'm still getting used to, I don't know, this feeling, but such a release of like guilt about stuff. Cause I've known I've had ADHD for a really long time. Right.
Okay.
But you still feel guilty about how some of those things impact your life. And I don't think necessarily realize the extent to which it touches literally everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every single thing in my life.
Yeah.
It's
and I think it's an acceptance of this is who you are. Like, these are like going to be your struggles for a lifetime. So finding ways to work around them where it doesn't have to be, and you like apologizing for the rest of your life for your shortcomings, really. And like we were talking yesterday about what was it, the ADHD penalty, how much you have to make up for
I don't think we had this discussion.
what
Or I
sort of
got
making up
ADHD and
for
forgot about
like
it.
so if you're super late on some or late at all
Oh, maybe we did have the discussion
or
because that is me.
yeah, and then so you're overcompensating by oh now I have to like double this gallery
Oh,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was
Yeah.
I think we were talking about perfectionism
Ooh,
too
can
and
we
just
call this
thinking
the
like
ADHD tax?
the what?
The ADHD tax. It's like I have to pay extra
Oh yeah,
taxes.
the tax.
My like
Yes, yes.
my like tax or like my the energy I have to spend on this project. I have to pay my like 5% ADHD tax because I'm going to be late, so I'm going to stay a little longer, which means that my next shoot's going to be a little bit late because of it.
And it's even a tax when we're just thinking about the perfectionism. Like even if we weren't late and kind of like by the rules or constraints we set for ourselves, we're performing fine.
Yeah.
Then the perfectionism will kick in, and that can make you miserable as well.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Man,
You
that
pay with
feeling
so
when
many
you're
things.
spending like way too long on one photo and then you realize you don't need it.
I like forever. Like my internal monologue is always like, "What is your problem?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?"
Yeah, but that's that guilt and shame, and I'm like completely not here for that anymore, right? Like,
Yeah,
I
no, now I'm like able to start letting that go, and so it's not such a kind of I don't know dominant thing in my life, you
yeah,
know.
for sure. It's I am who I am. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna change because I also don't like that idea. I don't like the idea that like I'm stagnating right where I am now because I know that there's more that I want to do, but I'm not ready to like, apologize for this because I honestly I like who I am. I like this. I like.
No,
this
I
thing
feel
that
like
is me.
I'm tired of apologizing for it, or
Yeah.
tired of just feeling like I can't do certain things until I've like earned it from somebody, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. Hey, are you
Mhm.
using oh yeah, for editing, side note, are you using Lightroom CC or are you editing your work with like I know you're using Lightroom CC for like culling and whatnot, but are you using Classic still or are you mainly using CC?
Oh yeah, classic is like yeah,
Okay.
I love classic.
Because the question is, with this new masking feature,
Mhm.
is clearly incredible and just straight bonkers.
So
Do
beautiful.
you find that it's still kind of fiddly? Like I find that like I'll mask something and then like I use the keyboard like almost exclusively when I'm pre-masking features coming out, and I find that like if I press left or right on the arrow keys to like move between photos, it actually like sometimes resets my masking. Like all the sliders go back to
So
zero.
I found, yeah. So what was happening for me that I've noticed, and it's like I noticed it and haven't like addressed it yet because I was like,
Yeah,
oh, I think this is what's going on. So I like to, I'm also keyboard shortcuts.
yeah,
Um, but if I'm in the mask and I try to arrow over to the next photo, it looks like it's just adjusting whatever slider that I'm on.
correct.
And I don't like that because usually that's kind of like my finish. However,
Mm-hmm.
I did try something new the other day just because it really does. Like I can edit and cull super fast
Yeah,
if I don't have perfectionism like ruling my mind, which is a
yeah.
space that I have been in for a little while and it's been really, really frustrating. But like I will edit a session and then have to go re-edit and re-edit and re-edit because it's like I'm thinking of different possibilities, even
Oh, interesting.
different takes
Yeah,
on it all. I
I
don't
don't
know.
have that. So my
Ugh,
editing is
it's really
very much
annoying.
dialed in from shooting. So by the
Mm-hmm.
time it's hit my computer, I already know how I want it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any issue with like kind of rehashing it, and part of it is I don't like editing as much.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely pass
And I
editing
do,
off
I do
first.
really like to.
Oh, really?
It's fun to join or like zone out and sit here and do it, but not when you realize it's been 3 hours and you
Yeah.
spent all of that time on 3 photos. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't have that as much of a problem. Like when I say something is taking too long, I'm talking I've been on there for like 30 seconds. I try really hard to like power through photos. Partially
Actually,
because I just don't
I
like
know
editing.
I know the other part of it. It's because of the course.
Oh, okay.
I so I try different strategies because it seems like it would make sense if I'm editing client images. I could also be creating content for the course. So as I'm thinking up a new approach
That's cool.
or, oh, this could be helpful, instead of flagging it to kind of redo later, doing it at the moment. So then what happens is I'll find like an image like that could be a problem for somebody, or I just did something super cool that doesn't seem like a normal thing to do.
Yeah.
And I will want to explore all of these possibilities. So I try it all first before I'm going to record it. And then that's what happens. I don't end up recording it. And I just wasted like 2 hours trying, all this ridiculous stuff. So I think what's going to be most effective for me is to stop trying to think that way. Just edit my client stuff for my clients. And then.
Oh, yeah. That's so hard, though, because you also want to create frictionless content, right? You want
to and because it's having to look at it again. It's that thing again. Like, I'm bored of it. I already did this. I can't look at this again, right?
That's so hard. Maybe you just need to create like, it's almost like you need like hyperlink. You need like a wiki just for like, here's a link to the, like, is there a way to link into Lightroom catalog, Lightroom collections? Can you, is there a linking system?
I could share, I can share collections from CC.
Right, but can you click a link and it opens it in that collection? Right, like could you
probably?
Because I know you can when create, share links.
Mm-hmm.
But I would want.
And they can edit
say,
them
like,
and stuff.
Yeah, I would want to be able to say like, "Hey, here's my, like I'm editing. You're like, oh, this thing needs to be taken. So you hit the share link, grab the URL, and then like dump it into your Notion notes, and then you like, you do your brain dump right there and be like, okay, right now, I'm editing this thing, and I need to have this discussion about masking, and here's my thoughts on it right now in the moment, so that you can at least come back to it. But maybe you'll just never come back to it then. You know what I mean?
It's something. So here's like, if we're talking about like big things or like, I don't know, whatever, things that would make a big impact, right? So trying to do the most impactful thing to help you. Literally what I need is a co-working review date where it's 4:00. Stop it. You stop working. Stop it. Yep. Close your windows, send all your open tabs to Notion, whatever. And review your day, review the ideas you had that maybe you need to move forward on for different projects or whatever, collect all of these editing ideas I had and synthesizing all of that and creating action items from it for the next day, and then kind of planning that. And I don't know, time blocking is really helpful for me when I stick to it. And I've noticed if I don't start the day off right, like planning the day,
oh, seriously,
I can end up spending the entire day doing whatever it is I started doing first. Yep. So if that ends up being the laundry, I am stuck doing laundry all day, but loving every second of it,
Yeah. No, I've been there 100%.
Yeah. If I start editing a client session, like I'll know that is it for the rest of the day. So I think something more effective, especially just, as I research it and all of that, and what makes sense to my brain is, and my brain does want that. It wants extended periods of time of just one task. Yep. But capping it, like just do 3 hours. You can have 3 like strategy hours today, or 3 like in the zone hours. So we'll schedule those, and then, schedule all the other like have to do tasks or whatever around that. Scheduling time to just ideate, because so I love that, like brainstorming and stuff.
Every single day, and I like bar none, every single day, I sit down, I drop myself into my computer, and then the first thing I do is, oh, there's that thing I got to do, and I start working, and then we're off, and it's just like that's the thing that I'm doing. So
if I start off on one of those rabbit holes or something, like it's just over. Yeah. So I think it would be really helpful to just have co-working sessions that are reviewing the day, because I have been meaning to review my day and synthesize all the stuff I collected that I thought was interesting or whatever for months now. I mean, since I found out about how effective daily reviews are. I used to do a weekly review every once in a while.
Is that public, or is that something you're doing like by yourself?
I was attending a co-working
Oh, gotcha.
like weekly review with other like knowledge workers, not photographers.
That's very cool.
Um,
So
but yeah,
are
just
people publicly sharing like today I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna wash my underpants, and today I'm also gonna get up and I don't know, wash my face. Like, is everybody
well,
like
that's part of my vision for the club I've been working on, my
yeah,
cult club, whatever.
cool.
Um, it's it's a place where you can come check in and state your intentions for the
Cool.
day.
And it's
And
like
that is really
kind
powerful.
of
And
photo, but
actually,
not totally photo.
yeah, I was reading last night that sometimes something, and this is going to be true for me, instead of stating your intentions or writing them down, visualizing yourself doing it.
Oh, interesting. Is that
Hmm.
instead of? Because I feel like I
I
also like
mean, you
having a
probably
list.
end up doing both, but like it's almost like writing it isn't enough. Like spending time to visualize yourself doing the task, completing, maybe even
Yeah.
stopping at the right time to start the next one. So once you can visualize that, and then I love it. I like visualizing things in that way. I must work that way anyway, because it's again imagining taking the road trip, and because you visualized it, you should bring like a large water and your
Yeah.
iPhone cord. And it almost gives you more time to kind of think about the what ifs. Or like, I just like to make things the most comfortable, enjoyable, whatever they could be. So if I'm going to go up to the tree house or something,
Yeah.
I got to think of, I don't know, the best blanket or pen I could write with, all of that. But all of that, I think, is just what makes sort of ritualizing an experience so great?
But I can give you the opposite side of that equation.
Okay.
I've learned that I like ritualize things to the point of like uh,
Not starting.
not starting. So what I've been doing a lot
I
recently,
love to do that.
not un,
Oh, that's
uh,
why I'm literally every time you see my office, it's different. There will be different like
oh, interesting.
photos on the walls. Like,
Yeah.
there's always just something different because I'm
But
always
I've
arranging.
learned that like any time somebody's like, hey, do you want to like let's sit down and we'll get some editing done, and I'll be like, okay, cool, that sounds great. Okay, so first I'm gonna make a cup of coffee, and second of all I'm gonna like put on some cool music, and then I'm gonna like burn some incense, and then
Hmm.
all of a sudden what I'm really doing is like, I don't know, recreating like the Catholic masses that I went to as a kid.
Yeah, oh
but
yeah, I do that all
but
the
like
time.
to the point where like it takes 30 minutes. Like, okay, tea takes a little bit to boil. I'm not going to start editing until the tea is done. That's ridiculous. And then I got to select an album, especially if I'm upstairs. I'm going to like flip through my vinyl and like, ooh, this one's good. You got to clean it first. You got to set it up. Like, and then all of a sudden you're like 40 minutes in and like somebody else is like done through a whole session. And I'm sitting here like still just like screwing around. You know what I mean?
But it is so okay to take the time you need to, it's like
To an
getting
extent though,
ready to
right?
get ready.
To an extent though, because like I also like we're dealing with all these like deadlines for this like, huge season we had this year, and so for me, I also just know that I need to like some days I just kind of need to like sit down and power my head through, like just knuckle down and like get it done. But you're right, like it's a balancing act because I also work better when I've got myself like dialed in and I've got my cup of coffee and I've got like the ritual is valuable. I just sometimes feel like I put the work off so that I can ritualize it more. Does that make
But
sense?
maybe it's because you need that. Like you need
Maybe.
that because
Yeah.
it's almost like rest time. I feel like doing things like that, like me arranging all of the like weird stuff on my desk, or you know, literally ritualizing, like lighting incense, making a special drink, like
Yeah.
putting on your headphones, playing the best music, all of that.
Yeah.
We may just, it is rest. Like if you're not, feeling anxious or whatever. I mean, it's definitely also procrastination sometimes, but I think that is how powerful letting yourself make decisions for yourself and deciding, I'm deciding this is the editing ritual. This is
Yeah.
my 3 hour strategy work ritual. So what are the things that I like? I want to burn incense have a great playlist that's like sort of this mood or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So then you arrange the space to do that. So next time it's not going to take 60 minutes and we're not going to get distracted arranging all of our hooks and screws today because we didn't have to go like rifling through the closet to get ready. All the stuff was here, you know?
I know that feeling. I have
Yeah.
definitely installed screws instead of getting any work done. Oh, that's part of the studio space since we just moved in here a few months ago. It's like some days I'll just sit down and be like, okay, time to work. Oh, but that's dirty. I'm gonna go clean that.
Mm-hmm. But it feels like you're being efficient because you're setting yourself up for the thing to not take as long next time.
Which is not wrong. But then next time
I
I'm also
know.
gonna find something else to clean instead.
But your client really wants their gallery.
They really,
right?
really do. And they're really
And if you told them, I'm sorry it's a week late, I had to arrange all my screws today by size.
Oh my God.
So next time it's not going to take me
so much worse.
It's not going to take me 2 hours to find the right bolt to mount the speaker to the wall so that my experience listening to music as I edit your stuff is nicer.
But it sounds so much worse when you describe it in like the actual details, because if I say
it's been helpful to me to think about having to tell somebody
that's a really good
why they don't have it right now or it's late or whatever. Like yesterday, I was literally like these lights fell down and it ended up, and sometimes you just don't anticipate how frustrating or hard a thing is going to be. So I have not the right tool to be trying to help me put them up, and they kept falling. And I was like, you're literally out of your mind. You should be doing, all these other things. And you were over here like messing around with a disco ball.
In your defense, super important.
I call it self-care, right?
Oh man. Oh, for the record, when you're in the mask on a Mac, you just do Command left and right, and it forces it to go either way without having to.
If you're masking.
If you're masking, yeah.
Oh well, thank you for figuring that out.
Yeah, I did know it. I just kept forgetting to say it, so I'm forcing myself to change conversation or to force that part of the conversation. So on that note, not the masking note, on the other stuff, how was your 21? Because I know you've been doing a lot of knowledge work, you've been doing a lot of like work on editing courses, and I mean just from the discussions you and I have had, how, like, sum it all up, how was 21 to you, your family, your work, your brain, your focus?
I mean, lots of struggle that leads to a lot of growth. There have been really big mental shifts happening here for me. And my most important work, I think, for me to just be a more successful, fulfilled person is working with boundaries. I was listening to a really great book last night it was something about being nice, but like how nice doesn't equal good, or nice doesn't equal like worth. Your self-worth isn't coming from being nice and just accommodating everybody all of the time, and not speaking up for yourself because you don't want to let other people down. Right. And yeah, that really resonated with me. But it all of that comes down to boundaries. It's and just the way you think about it. Like, saying no doesn't make you mean, But I'm sorry, I can't help you. I have to like hang a disco ball today. I think that's where some of the guilt comes from too. Like, you if you do tell somebody no or set a boundary, and then you're not spending every single like minute being productive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that I think we talked about this yesterday or whenever the other day. But this like fallacy of perpetual hard work, I think, has been like burned into our collective brains of like, we are not worth anything if we are not always producing. And I am so bad at this. Part of it is growing up with like not a lot of money, and then starting a business that statistically at that time like probably wasn't going to make us much money. It's I always feel like I this is, and I know you and I must have talked about this at some point, but it always feels like that shoot that I just did is always going to be the last one. It's like someone's going to get the grift. Someone's going to realize that, you know, photography isn't really valuable, and they can just grab an iPhone and like take a selfie, and all of a sudden I'm gonna, you know, be out on my ass and not have a home, and everyone's gonna be broke. Like, I know that's not true. Like, clearly it's been 12 years, so we've got some clients that like what we do, and our work is actually very valuable and very important. But I constantly feel like if I'm not like pushing harder, doing more, creating something new, or man, to make it even worse, I feel like I always have to be like in perpetual paradigm shift. Like, that was great, but what if we like completely reworked it and like never did that again, and instead we just like all did this? Does that resonate?
Remember when I was talking about a ranger?
There you go.
Doesn't that feel like the same thing?
Yeah, especially after I spent, you know, a few hours last night rebuilding the streaming rig in here.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I'm gonna have
you know,
to
I
go
should
over
have
this.
known that's what would happen.
I'm gonna have to go over this on camera at some point, but like, I'm 4 monitors, 5 if you count my phone, but I don't. 4 monitors, 2 computers, cameras, lights, microphones, Zoom. Oh, like there's just so many things, and it's all parts and pieces that I already have. But man, rearranging it in a way to make this specific setup work was a challenge.
Well, I think another aspect, so I don't know all the StrengthsFinder things or whatever. I feel like I want to study them, but
Yeah.
it feels like a problem solver kind of trait. I think we both share that as well. I love to be able to have the perfect tool, the most appropriate screw, whatever it is.
Oh God, I have the same
to
thing.
solve the very specific problem that I already know I'm going to end up having. I don't know where or when or why. What?
You don't throw away screws, do you?
Oh, never. I would never throw away a screw or a bracket.
I literally have a bin of screws and brackets.
No, I have very arranged squares and cubes, and like for the screws to have their own compartments.
Yep.
It brings me a lot of pleasure to look at my collection of hooks and think about the things I can connect together. Oh, I could grab mine. And clamps. Clamps are really nice too. All right.
These are just USB cables.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, right?
I have to get one of those.
Look at this. Boom.
That's beautiful.
Organized. So this one is just micro USB cables. This is just Apple.
If I could talk to you about the amount of time I continue to spend sorting through my cords, and this is I think we were trying to talk about this in the beginning, but needing to see stuff. My mistake the first time I tried to sort through all my cables was putting them in these cute bags. I get like a makeup subscription thing.
Yeah.
And they send them in cool bags. So I sorted everything into the bags, but then you can't see what's in the bags.
Yep.
Or which cords are where. So that didn't work. Right now they're just in a basket under my desk so I can still see them. But it needs to be that. Realizing I just need to see stuff, and so I sort things into clear plastic bins now or things like that has been really helpful.
Right?
Well, no, so then it's a step beyond that. So then it's aesthetically arranging those things in a way that makes sense and it's pleasing to look at. I feel like maybe that's why I incorporate so many just weird random things that I also like. Like I will put, things like this that I love or whatever. I mean, what is that even? With the stuff that is, technically like storage or whatever.
Interesting. I noticed you also have a lot of like open shelves. I wonder if that's, by design.
Shelves are nice. Yeah.
You can see them.
Yeah. 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 I so I totally make altars for all kinds of things. I've been doing that my whole life,
Really
not really
interesting.
realizing it, but making collections of things that I like. And so yesterday I was thinking, I like the idea of having, these little shelves. So I have, let's see, this one. So that's my friend Megan in that picture.
Hmm.
But just, and then I made one for my mom. You can't really see, but anyway, so like having a picture of them, but also putting things that I don't know make me think of them or whatever all together. And I like the idea of kind of collecting things like that and then sending them to them.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
over a month, just all of my favorite things that maybe I come across or I buy or whatever, and just kind of like putting them up there. So
Hmm.
I spend time just thinking about them, looking at them. But then because I love surprise and delight and sending people gifts and things like that,
Oh yeah.
I just can't go to the post office.
Oh, because you
That's
can't,
really
because you're not
hard.
allowed, or because it's just impossible to add that to your schedule for the day.
It's like one of those things that I don't know, it's like one of the tasks that I resist. It's
I
one of those like
definitely
super
know that
easy
feeling.
things and I literally can't do it. So what I did think was I need to ritualize this, huh? I
Mm,
need to make this, some sort of like pleasurable thing, some kind of like really nice bike ride or whatever, and maybe even get a friend that rides their bike to the post office with me every Friday morning or something.
yeah, and
Yeah.
just delivers altars.
It just delivers altars to people.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's so hard, man. What I know for me, like the biggest, the biggest like emotional barrier for me is email. Like I know I open my inbox and I just feel my energy just like drain out the bottom of my spine, just like, well, this isn't happening today. Said to me, every single day I open my inbox. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I know a lot of it specifically with ADHD comes from like repeatedly like failing at it, like
Yep.
sitting down and like answering one email for like 30 minutes when you had 10 minutes to answer like 15.
But then beating yourself up about it and still thinking you should be able to do that. Like,
Yeah.
actually, this this is just a task that you should never be doing.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And I think that for where you and I are sitting right now, that's really easy to say. I think there's a lot of people who are just getting started or don't have the luxury of having like a team behind them. But there are
Mm-hmm.
services that are not like crazy expensive that you can automate a lot of these things. Or like even that, what's that Zen? No, it's not Zen. What's that Focus or whatever email application you're using?
Well, right now I'm using SaneBox and
SaneBox. Yeah, yeah.
it is saving my life. Like I know everything important will filter into my inbox, but I also don't want to unsubscribe from the ridiculous number of newsletters that I subscribe to
Okay.
and
Do you
mostly don't
actually ever read
read.
them though?
Oh, mostly not, no. But
Because
there are
I like
people that
literally
are,
never open them.
hey, you know what? This is part of the review though, the review day. So I'm keeping them because I know look, there's so many good ones in there and there's a lot of good information in there. But because I never have like a synthesized time, I can't
Mm-hmm.
even, what I should be doing is synthesizing what came through. And that's probably just going to be reading subject lines because there's too many rabbit holes if I open them, you
Oh yeah,
know,
I
and see the
I'm
links and
very
stuff.
like hesitant to open or subscribe to any sort of newsletters because I'm very cautious about giving my attention to
Mm-hmm.
an outside observer. For someone to be able
Well,
to
it's
like
how,
walk
so
into
it's,
my email and say like,
yeah.
"Hi, now you have to focus on this thing." Oh, that's so hard for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's why this has been nice because I don't even see them. Like those subject lines can't tempt me because they go straight to that newsletter folder.
Yeah.
But I do want to be reading some of that stuff. So I think just, setting up constraints and making
Yeah.
it part of a system. So if I have a review, I can allow myself 10 minutes to just see what came in today
Mm-hmm.
and prioritize. It's sort of making you
But are you gonna stick to
have
10
better
minutes?
executive functioning.
because I know
I don't
just
know,
had such a
probably
hard
not. Like
time.
that's why I need a body double,
Yeah,
you
for sure.
know?
You need like
Yeah.
honestly, like as much as it's fun to like be your own boss and all that thing, like all that thing. We just need we need someone to like tell us that hey, you got a job to do and you're supposed to be working right now. It's like, sorry boss, I'll stop playing video games. I'll stop looking through my inbox. I'll stop like yeah, those photos did need to get done today. And realistically, it should just be us saying that to ourselves. Like we should be our own boss and like
Hmm.
literally just be able to function that
But
way.
we
But
can't
sometimes it's just
because we're like,
impossible.
this is important for this is optimizing this in the future. This is gonna make this future me.
Yeah.
Future me is gonna appreciate this sometime.
Which is not wrong. It's
Hmm.
super valuable to like spend that emotional capital and think about the people that we want to
You know
be.
what it is?
Hmm.
I'm always working so hard for future me, but I need to be asking
Oh,
future me what future me actually needs me to be doing right
oh
now.
shit, yeah.
Does
Because
future
sometimes
me
it's
even
not like
appreciate that
optimizing.
I sorted all the screws, or would future me really appreciate it if I would upload all of my, editing course modules? Or would future me really appreciate that I took the time, even though I didn't think it was perfect, to just like post to social media every day instead of
Yeah.
disappearing for months?
Oh, I know that feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think like assigning future you as the boss, and what you visualize for that version of yourself. So imagining, you know, you are. Oh, and this is what I wanted to do with you actually, this visualization, because I'm writing it for a section I'm adding to the editing course about finding your style.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you start out, and then every so often you have an identity crisis
Yeah.
when you're editing or whatever, and like feel like you need to change things or it doesn't feel quite right.
Yep.
But just sort of imagining if everything went right and you can have like everything you wanted 10 years from now with your photography or whatever. What that looks like, and what are the most impactful things that version of yourself would do today to have those things.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely not always my best advocate for getting those things done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard, but
It's all hard.
it's all hard. And I think part of like these conversations are very valuable and kind of like meandering through like where like should we be focusing on today or focusing on tomorrow. But at the end of the day, like I don't know, just the discussion of it, like kind of sussing through it is so interesting and so valuable. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I just what I'm really excited for with all these projects is like to have a community space, to not be the only one beating my head against a brick wall to try to like figure out the answers. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
It's
I think I think over time we end up developing these little strategies that can make hard things make sense for us or make them easy or whatever, and
yeah.
that's why community really is so valuable when it can be, you know, a truer definition of community where you feel okay to be vulnerable about things like this that you struggle with, especially when they carry a lot of guilt and shame with them. It can be hard to talk about them, I think.
100%.
But that's how you can start to develop solutions for things. And especially I think that's maybe why I keep putting myself in that position or feel compelled to create community and stuff, just because it's so powerful. And I'm a problem solver. I want to solve, like, give me some more problems for me to, work out and solve for you, especially if it's difficult. Sometimes you just can't see it. You're clouded by your own perspective and you can't see another way.
The routine is always hard for me. Like getting up every single day and doing the same thing every single day is really hard.
And that's
But
that's one of those other things that you don't have to.
Well,
you don't have to have one.
What I mean is that like if I have to solve my day today,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have to solve that same day like for the next 30 years, that's a really big challenge for me. But if you come to me and say, hey, I've got this problem, my computer's not doing this, I can't figure this edit out or whatever, like I can solve that so fast and have so much fun doing it. but
Mm-hmm.
it's just that like so then because then I just pass it off to the person who actually has to like do the daily work, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to do any of that. I don't have to think about it ever again. It's just so much easier, so much easier. The routine, the
Mm-hmm.
like the daily practice. And I think that's something you and I have talked about extensively. Is like daily practice, and that is so
Yeah, because
hard.
I just
It's so
love,
important.
I freaking love the idea of it. But it's why things like this, I think, going forward are going to be really important for me. Um, I need to have other people to be accountable to, so I don't arrange screws for an hour because I
Yep.
had to get here. So it's more like a meeting that I
Yep.
gotta show up for. I can't
I
just
set
be
two
left to
alarms
my
this
own
morning.
devices.
I set two alarms this morning, even though I have been getting up at the same time for like almost a month now. Like
Mm-hmm.
that, it was just doubly important because there were people that are like waiting to hear from me, and like I announced on
Mm-hmm.
the internet that I was going to be at a place, and if I'm not there, like someone's upset, or at least
Yeah.
like knows that I sometimes don't show up in places on time. So that accountability is like very very valuable. Sometimes it feels like I should pay for that. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah. Oh, I would. I'd be so, I mean, I'll pay $60 for an app I'm probably not even going to touch again because the possibility of how
Yeah.
it could transform my life, was just like, oh, this is it. But actually, I think what it is just really leaning into community and using
Right.
it for more than just like
Socializing.
feeding your ego, which ends up a lot of times turning into perfectionism.
Oh.
And then you can't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I guess is that the core failing of like quote unquote social media, right? The fact that like
That's why I had to make a new thing, a
yeah,
new club, like not there because that's not it.
yeah,
If it's a means to find you, I'm looking for you, I'm looking for I don't know, the people that I can help and that um I don't know, inspire, motivate, but also that are struggling with all of these same types of things so
hmm
we can be together to help each other just be, I don't know, the best versions of ourselves, like reach that, whatever it is.
I mean, clearly without social media, neither you nor I would like be sitting here with the ability to like this is technically all I have to do today. Like I don't have to be anywhere. Uh, Nobody's gonna be mad at me if I don't show up to like a grocery store. I bagged groceries all through like high school and into early college. So like
Same,
no one's gonna be upset with me
same.
for
I
like
did
not
not
showing.
want to be the checker.
Oh really? I did that for a
Yeah.
little while. That was honestly worse. I
I
could like
wanted to
I,
stock shelves and I wanted to sack. I
yeah.
did not want to be the checker.
I
Yeah.
did the checker for a little while, but I pushed carts for a long time, and that was
Mm-hmm.
I still have a click in my shoulder. Wait, probably can't hear it. Can you hear that? Probably not. Doesn't matter. Um,
Maybe.
my shoulder still like pops at the top because I would push like literally like 50 or 60 carts at a time. Not wise, nor really technically allowed. But the point is, wait, what is the point? What were we talking about?
I can't remember anymore.
We're talking about. Oh yeah, like we wouldn't have the luxury of like having these like weird jobs if it weren't for social media, right? Like, that's just a fact. Like social media
Yeah.
got us both where we are, but I think it's almost like that's just like client facing. Like yeah, I do want like these people that I'm editing to be able to see that I'm on social media, but it's not really social, right? Like it's just broadcasting again at that point. It's just like a billboard. It's a business card
So
on the internet.
I think, what has kind of also led to my aversion of it lately is the more I hear it pounded in to that it is a strategy to go comment on other people's work
Oh yeah, jeez, yes,
to get as a means to, it's not to, and people that say that they, support other photographers or that maybe even like sort of try to, I don't know, it's like guilt you into thinking this is how you support other photographers, like leaving comments on their stuff. I mean, in so many ways, it isn't. especially if like their like ideal client isn't other photographers,
Yeah.
like
Because I'm
I
not going to
feel
hire
like
that
it's messing
person.
with the algorithm. The algorithm thinks all
Yeah.
these photographers love you instead of like being fine with whatever numbers like you're getting, not thinking you have
Mhm.
to get this because this is all inflated with all this stuff that's like not attached to your actual goal or your vision for what you're doing. So it just seems like such a waste of time, and it's just so fake when, you know, all of these comments being left about your work are
Yep.
just to get more comments on their work.
Yep.
And
With the hope
so
of
it
follow
just
for follow.
feels like a very fake space when that's what's like encouraged and celebrated, and how a lot of people have found they get ahead by taking advantage of an algorithm
Yeah.
because it
Not a
shifts
fan.
other people's perceptions of your like worth. And that's, I mean, it is very much worth based, right?
Hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, for years I would say things like, uh, I would mention social media, and I would be like, "Oh, but don't worry. Like our numbers on Instagram are like big for the region that we live in." Like apologizing that I didn't
Oh
have like
yeah.
30,000, 500,000, half like million followers on Instagram. It's like, but I have a full time job working with clients, creating images, and it it that I wouldn't say that Instagram because that makes me feel bad, or makes me feel bad about social media, but that business has like allowed my family to live the life that we live for like we've been shooting for 12 years, but like for like 6 or 7 years straight, like this has just been all that we do. So like who cares if you have 10 followers on social media if you have like a life that you live and you're enjoying it, like it just doesn't matter. It just straight up doesn't matter. And there is like
I
that
read
give and take
something the
there.
other day that really kind of I felt resonated with me, because I think that also within the social media realm, sort of the voices that get heard are usually the loudest or the
Oh
most
yeah.
controversial, right? Because that's how algorithms work. So then you perceive that you have to be showing up in all these places, or you also have to be like loud, or like using cheesy to you maybe marketing tactics or whatever. But
Yep.
I was reading Seth Godin, is that how
Yeah.
you say his last name, do you
Yep.
know? I really like a quote of his that it's something like, if the design is good, you can whisper instead. And I was like,
Ooh.
yes, like I put it on a board, it says whisper instead back there, because that's what I would rather, like quietly deliver really amazing value and let that be sort of like the whisper that could
Yep.
be like, shared with people, instead of telling you over
Yep.
and over and over again what I
Yeah.
have, why you got to buy it. I just want to make it so good that this is the thing you have to
Well,
buy,
the
because
reality is
it's
that
been transformational for other people.
social media at its best should be an analog or a mirror to true word of mouth. So
Yeah.
I've seen a movement in some photographers that I know. I've seen like big photographers with like huge followings, people that you and I both know, who have basically either like wiped their Instagram or like just decided to like start a second one that was like completely focused on where they live and not like I'm a globe trotting, like I'm in Costa Rica one day and like Iceland the next, because they want like a different life for themselves. They want to like be home. They want to like
Well,
uh
it screws up all the feedback loops
yeah.
when the algorithm is deciding like who sees it, who comments, and then people are encouraged to comment just to get more comments. All your feedback loops are messed up. You're not even getting really great information about what's resonating or what was valuable about the thing
Yep.
that you put out, when everybody is just kind of like telling you the same things about what you're putting out over and over. And if you're not using it to experiment and gauge what that is, and you're just feeding it the same thing that did well last time,
Yeah.
and now you're
Then your
feeding it the
work is
same thing
stagnating.
that,
On top, not only is it not
well, yes,
helpful, your
because
work is stagnating.
you're so focused on this number you got to get to, and you don't even know why. You don't
Yeah.
even know. So I think a lot of like time spent even studying social media, like strategy or optimizing all of it, or, you know, even content strategies and all of that, when it's attached to just a number and not necessarily the practice
Yeah.
and what you're going to get out of it, not taking the time to synthesize the data that's, you know, being
Yeah.
created by posting all of that stuff, that's what kind of ends up
Because the
making it so
companies
harmful.
themselves do spend all the time actually like
Mm-hmm.
synthesizing that data, and that's why the algorithms are so powerful and so successful. Like they do all that work, but we sit back and we just like, you know, hit our head against the same brick wall over and over again, hoping to hop over at some point.
Well, one
I
thing
just
I
remembering
did, oh,
that I would hold
sorry.
on real quick because the thing about traveling and wiping your Instagram was supposed to lead somewhere. Um, there is like at its best, social media is like an analog to word of mouth because again, people who are giving up like hundreds of thousands of follower Instagrams for like a small local one, the realization there is that that person who loves your work literally a continent over is probably not going to hire you. And that they're
Mm-hmm.
liking and commenting your photo is only going to do so much if you're not getting the people local that are like in your community seeing that photo. That social platform isn't helping you. But if you are
Mm-hmm.
like, so like the sessions that I'm editing right here are like our holiday mini sessions that we run once a year, and they are a pretty good moneymaker, but not this year. I didn't push as hard this year because we had a very wild 21. Um, but I intentionally used to shoot like 25 portraits over a weekend. And by doing that, and I'm not marketing them broadly to tourists or anybody that's coming and visiting this location, it's all my locals. Each one of those people, like I didn't wasn't like blasting those photos out and creating like, you know, huge posts about, you know, with their content, but they go home and they have a conversation with their family and friends and they share them
I
as like
know.
holiday
Love
cards, and
you.
those things become
Bye.
a
Have a great
quiet
day. Sorry.
quiet word of mouth conversation, like a whisper, to your point, uh, inside their little small community, and then to me that's a much better marketing piece than a post that gets, you know, 500,000 likes on it from people all over the country.
Yeah, and another thing too is just the idea of having this like curated audience, right?
Mm,
If that curated audience isn't actually like your ideal client, then
totally.
literally all of that feedback you get, all of those comments and stuff aren't going to like be that helpful or carry that much weight. Yeah. Um, hold on just a second.
No worries.
Well, I get we should end. It's been an hour.
That's true.
Yeah. I have a lot more to say, but we'll do this again really soon.
I think that's the point, right? We probably should we talked about doing half an hour. So I think
Yeah, I know.
setting timers up for next time, we should like dramatically set up a timer system so that
Yeah.
we have to be done. Maybe like the stream
All right.
cuts off at 30 minutes.
Yes, that's what we need. All right. They're leaving. This is why I can't ever do a review because I'm like, no, I'm just gonna work until the very last minute instead. All right. Well, if you like this, let us know so we can open up feedback loops here and make this like super valuable for you. If you stayed the whole time, I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. And hope some of this was helpful. I think let us know
different.
if there were topics really interesting or helpful to you, and we can, focus on that stuff. We'll try anyway. All right. I gotta go.
Bye.